This is the first perfect you are going to see in MLB The Show 22. Perfect. Aaron Judge. We'll see you later. Perfects are back in MLB The Show's 22 tech test. What's good, guys? Welcome back to the channel. In MLB The Show 22 tech test, we can get our hands on the offline modes right now. We can hit in batting practice. We could pitch in batting practice as well. So today I'm going to be giving you guys my best and simplest hitting tips to get you guys started in MLB The Show's 22 tech test. And if you guys are watching this video when the full game of MLB The Show 22 comes out, I will be dropping an updated version of this video and a ton more tips, Diamond Dynasty pack opening videos, ranking videos, gameplays, all that good stuff. So if you're new, do me a favor, hit the like button, hit that subscribe button if you guys are new. I would greatly appreciate it. Without further ado, hope you guys enjoyed this video, and let's get it.
Minika, watch me on Twitch, I'm streaming. I'm on YouTube, subscribe to the channel, red button beaming. Let's get that sub count, take over YouTube, we teaming. My content so high, yeah, I'm steaming. Yeah, I'm steaming, red button beaming.
Okay, everyone, so today I'm going to be giving you guys my best and simplest hitting tips for MLB The Show's 22 tech test. And if you guys are watching this when MLB The Show 22 does release, you could probably use most of these tips for MLB The Show's 22 full game as well. I will be redoing my hitting tips day one of MLB The Show 22, so depending on when you're watching this, depends on if there's an updated version, so make sure to check the YouTube channel out for an updated version of my hitting test. But what we're going to do is go into custom practice mode, choose whatever team you want. I'm going to run with the Yankees here because I am a Yankees fan. Doesn't matter which team you play against for the most part. Pick a stadium. I like to play at night. I actually don't think at night works in this beta, in this tech test for some reason, because I keep setting it to 7 p.m. and it's still light out, which shouldn't be the case in October anymore. But you're going to jump in a custom practice, and then once we're in here, it's going to start you off as the pitcher. That is not what we want. We want to go over to batting practice. I will run with Aaron Judge, and then you want to face a pitcher that has a pretty decent pitch mix. Lance McCullers has a sinker, slider, knuckle curve, circle change, and cutter. So that's exactly what you want to face, because the best pitches that people throw in game, especially online, are sinkers and cutters. So if you can't hit a sinker and you can't hit a cutter, especially online, you're going to start struggling at the plate. He has a slider to mix in with a knuckle curve and a circle change. This is a pretty decent pitch selection, probably something you would see online from a lot of people. The slider, the sinker, and the cutter, probably the three best pitches in game. Maybe the changeup can have a run for its money when it comes to the slider and the changeup as well, especially when you play worse players. Worse players are going to swing at a lot of pitches out of the zone, so the slider really fools them. But today we are hitting, so I'm running with Aaron Judge. We're facing Lance McCullers. We're going to apply the changes there, and the first thing you need to do before you even swing the bat, you have to be able to see the ball so you can hit the ball. So what we're going to do, I'm going to show you guys the base camera angle. Extremely difficult to see anything from this camera angle. Now, it definitely looks nice. The presentation is amazing. The graphics look nice in the MLB The Show 22 tech test. Everything looks really nice, but if you want to get better at the game, you honestly have to go to a more competitive field of view, in my opinion. That way you can see the ball a lot better, because you see everything right now. You see the crowd, you're going to see the field all nice, your batter, you get the full view of Aaron Judge here, but that's really not what you want if you want to get better hitting wise. So the one that I like to work with, and I'm going to show you guys what the default is really quickly. So they have it on fish eye camera angle. Now you definitely want to test the water, because my specific hitting view will not be the best for everyone. Everyone's going to have their own opinion on the best hitting view for yourself, and fish eye might be the one you want to go with, especially if you like presentation a lot. The one that I really like to go to, and again, test the waters with a lot of these before you really make your final decision, especially if you're a newer player, I like to go with strike zone 2. I know a lot of people like strike zone and strike zone 3 as well. I feel like these are the most common hitting angles at the plate, strike zone all across the board. These are probably the best ones in my opinion. Now you can see a difference between fisheye and strike zone 2. You see how much more zoomed in we are. Not only are you going to be more zoomed in the game, you're going to be able to see the entire batter's box here. You're going to see the strike zone. You're going to be able to tell which pitches are going to be balls more likely than not, and which pitches are going to be strikes than when you were on fisheye. It was just too difficult, in my opinion, from that zoomed out camera angle to really see the strike zone and really decide which pitches are going to be strikes, which pitches are going to be balls. You can see this a lot better just by the camera angle, in my opinion. That's already going to make you a better hitter, because you're going to be able to see the ball. And like I said earlier, you cannot hit the ball if you cannot see the ball. That is going to lead me to tip number 2 for hitting settings in MLB The Show's 22 Tech Test and MLB The Show 22 as a whole, and that is this yellow thing that's in the middle of my screen. For those of you guys who are new to MLB The Show, you guys are probably wondering, what is this yellow thing? What does that do? That is called your PCI. That is called your plate coverage indicator. And what that essentially does, depending on where you place this PCI, where you place this plate coverage indicator, you want to track the baseball. Let's say McCullers is going to pitch high and inside. You want to track that pitch with your PCI, because the more PCI you actually get inside of the baseball and the closer it is to the baseball, the better hit result that you're actually going to wind up getting. Let's say Lance McCullers pitches the ball top right corner here, right? And I have the PCI up here and I swing and I make contact with it, it's going to be a pretty good hit result. But if I have it all the way bottom left and he goes top right, I'm not going to get a good hit result. I'll probably miss completely. I probably won't even hit the ball at all. So you want to get this PCI as close as possible to the baseball, because if you get it spot on, you get that perfect animation, which is always so satisfying and super cool to see every single time you do it. That is when you're going to get the best hit results at the plate and start stringing together some high run games by getting your PCI right on the baseball. Now, you don't have to stay with this default yellow PCI. A lot of people do like to stay with it. I know people do like to use it. They don't want to go ahead and mess with the PCI settings. So people like the default, but again, like the camera view, I'm going to give you guys my best PCI, and I'm going to explain what it all means. So we are going to go to batting and base running settings. Once again, we have on hitting interface, so now zone, that is what gets you that PCI setting. If you don't want to go on zone, if you want to go with directional, all you have to do is flick up the analog stick, but you're not going to get as good hit results if you use zone. The next thing we have is the input type, and these are very straightforward. We have 2 of these. We have buttons and we have analog. Analog, very straightforward. You're going to use the left analog stick to move your PCI where you want it, and then the right analog stick for every single console, no matter which one you're on, is going to be used for your swing. If you're using analog, you'll also have to touch the analog type, which means flick. If you want to just flick the analog stick up one time, that's going to swing it for you. Or if you want to use stride, you have to go back and then up with the analog stick, and that's how you're going to swing. But I personally like to use buttons. That's X, circle, square on PlayStation. You'll have to equate to which console you're on for X, circle, and square. So if you're on PlayStation, X is a normal swing, circle is a contact swing, and then square is a power swing. For Xbox, I know A is a normal swing, B is a contact swing, and then X is a power swing on Xbox. Nintendo Switch, I'm not completely familiar with the controls for MLB The Show, being it's new. I will probably pick the game up on Nintendo Switch when it really releases. That way I can give you guys a better tutorial for MLB The Show 22 on Nintendo Switch. Now we're going to move on to those PCI settings that I talked about. First one's going to be PCI anchor. You want that on. That way you can move the PCI all around the strike zone. Then PCI anchor dots, I always leave that on. I don't really touch that. That's not really going to impact a lot of stuff. Now this is where we get into our real customization here for your PCI settings. So you have PCI center. So that's the middle piece. So you're going to see, I'm going to bring it back out really quickly. You see the 3 circles, that straight line right in the middle, that's circles. You could change that. Let's see the settings that we have for MLB The Show 22. Let's see. So we have our center circles, altitude, diamonds, or none. I like to use circles. This is really pretty much preference here. I'll show you guys what diamonds looks like. Not too much of a difference. That's not really going to impact much. I like to run circles, but that's diamonds for you guys. So if you want to mess around with that, you can. So let me get back here. I'm going to change that back to circles. Not much of a difference though between the other two as well. Now inner, this is where it really starts to get important. I like to use my PCI inner as wedge. I'm going to show you guys what this all looks like at the end. I like to use wedge. You have Starfighter, Fishbowl, none, basic, and wedge. I like to use wedge because it's a little bit smaller. That's actually why I like to use wedge a lot. Then we have outer, and I actually don't run an outer at all. When there's an outer and an inner, I feel like I'm too distracted. There's too much going on the screen. I want to focus right in the middle of that PCI. I don't want to touch a lot of stuff. I don't want there to be a lot of things distracting me. So some people actually don't run an inner and they don't use an outer either, but I like to have at least an inner that's pretty small, which is what you're going to get out of wedge. The next thing you're going to look at here is the PCI color. This is really personal preference. I like to use white. I don't use the default of yellow, but yellow works completely fine. Whatever color you want to use, that should be fine for your PCI color. Doesn't really matter too much. Then we have the PCI transparency. Now this one, you want to be a little bit higher. 70% is fine, because if you go to 20%, I'm going to show you what that looks like. You can't see the PCI, so you definitely don't want that too low. I like to keep it around 70-80%. That's completely fine. You don't want it to be too much, because then you start to miss where the ball is actually going to be, because it's too solid, especially if you're going to go with white like myself, because the baseball is also white, so they tend to blend in a little bit if you go too transparent. So that's why I stay at 70. And then what else do we have? We have PCI fade. I actually don't know what that does. Okay, so that's where the outside will fade as the pitch comes in. So I don't actually use an outer, so that doesn't really impact me too much. So this is all we're gonna do for the PCI setting. Once you're done with your PCI settings and you apply the changes and you back out, you're gonna be able to see what your selective PCI is going to look like. So this is what mine looks like. You'll see there's no more outer, so it's a lot more concentrated, a lot more focused and smaller PCI than it was before. Not a lot going on to really distract you. So now that we've done our PCI settings and we've done our camera settings, the next thing you're gonna focus on at the plate is actually your starting point now for your PCI. So this ties in a little bit to your PCI. Reason being, you'll see if you touch nothing, the PCI just rests in the middle, which is fine if you want to do it that way, because if it's in the middle, you really have an equal opportunity to react to a pitch top left, top right, bottom left. But what I like to do, this works for me, again, doesn't have to work for you. Everybody's going to have different starting points, whatever you're comfortable with. I like to start it at the pitcher's release point, whether I'm going at a righty or I'm going up against a lefty. The reason why I like to leave it up there is that I can actually track the ball and see where it's going. You saw I tracked the ball. I started up high and I gradually went down with the changeup that he just threw because I was already starting at his release point. So I'm just going to follow the ball that way. If I start in the middle, I'm really reacting to where it's going to go. But if I start my starting point at the top left and actually follow the pitch myself, I'm going to get a lot better reaction and a lot better timing on the actual pitch. And there's our first home run from Aaron Judge. That one's getting out of here. So that's why I like to put my starting point at the top left or top right, depending on where the pitcher is actually going to start. Now, if they're a sidearm pitcher, that's a lot more difficult because they start at the ground. So that one's a little more difficult, but you're going to see basic release points from top left or top right, depending on who you're facing. Now, the next thing we're going to talk about, and this is tip number 4, we're going to get into is actually trying to recognize which pitches you're going to be facing when you're playing in an online game, when you're playing the computer. No matter what, everybody's going to have different pitch selections. So you want to know which pitches are actually coming at you. So you're going to see, again, he has a sinker, slider, knuckle curve, circle change, and cutter. Let's start off with one pitch right now, because when you're focusing on one pitch, you want to recognize what does a cutter look like, especially if you're a newer player, you're new to baseball, you don't know what a cutter looks like. You want to know what a cutter looks like coming out of the pitcher's hand. That way, in the future, when you're getting a cutter and they're going to start mixing it in with the other pitches, you're able to track it a little bit better. So let's just watch Lance McCullers throw a couple cutters. We're going to recognize the break. We know it's going to shift over towards the right because that's the way he pitches. So you want to keep this PCI and kind of move it a little bit to the right, because you're going to see the movement of that pitch really drifts to the right. Whereas if a lot of people online like to use sinkers and cutters a lot, those two pitches really go together nicely, because one of them's going to cut inside more to you on the left, depending on if they're a righty or a lefty pitcher, and the other one's going to gradually go to the right. And they kind of look similar, and they have similar speeds as they come out of the hand, and then they have two different break points. So you really want to test like cutters and sinkers together, change-ups and sliders together, because those pitches kind of look the same, and then they break at the last second, either a slider going out of the zone, a change-up going down in the zone. So that's why you really want to check all these pitches, work at them one at a time, and really recognize each individual pitch's break. So let's see. Let's try to hit some cutters very quickly. So you see how it drifts to the right? We got a little bit of a piece on it, but it was outside the zone, so you actually don't want to swing at that one. I'm only swinging that way you guys can see which way the ball is going to break. So you're going to see there's a perfect that goes up in the zone, and the ball drifted to the right. So once you get a hang of the cutter, start implementing a couple other pitches. I mentioned that the sinker and the cutter are the two most common pitches you guys are going to face online, with the slider as well. So now let's try to hit a sinker and a cutter at the same time. Let's watch him pitch a little bit. You see the sinker now, it cuts in inside from a righty on a righty, whereas the cutter was cutting more towards the strike zone. And then there goes the cutter. That one cuts more towards the right. The sinker comes into the left. So let's see if we can hit this now. So you see the sinker, that's going to be a ball. But if it was a cutter, it would cut more towards the outside part of the plate. You're going to see a lot more sinkers inside and more cutters outside. That's normally the way people like to pitch online, at least. The computer might do it a little bit differently because they're playing like a real life game. But online, a lot more people are going to throw sinkers inside at you, and cutters are going to run outside because they're trying to get you chase outside of the plate there. And you'll see how we're tracking the ball really, really nicely. The timing is getting down. When you're facing these pitches very, very often, you're going to realize what the break looks like, what the timing is going to look like, and you're going to start getting those swings down. That was actually a bad swing, but let's try it once again. Let's reset the play. We start our tracking up here. Follow the ball. Was underneath it a little bit, but here we go. We're going to track it. That's going to be a ball. And you want to get patience at the plate as well. I can't really teach you guys patience, but just when you go into an online game, if you guys are new, or even if you play the computer, try to take a couple pitches like we're doing in batting practice right now. Find the ball, see how they're pitching, and don't swing a lot of pitches out of the zone, because that's really what's going to kill you. You can have really, really good swings at stuff inside the zone, but it's going to be those sliders that come outside the zone. It's going to be those changeups that drop into the dirt that are really going to get you new players to swing at a lot of those pitches and strike out a lot of the time. So have some patience, take some pitches at the plate. I really can't stress that enough, because when I started playing MLB The Show, that was the stuff that really, really got me, was swinging out those bad pitches out of the zone. So let's try to get, actually, before we finish up here, because I've told you guys just about everything you guys are going to need to know day one, let's get every single pitch in here. So we're facing all 5 pitches. That's going to be a ball. So we're going to face all 5 pitches now and follow it. We're going to follow the ball. You see, we followed that sinker all the way into the dirt. We're not going to swing at that. Now here comes the next pitch. Again, that was kind of in the dirt. We swung at that. That was probably a bad swing. See? That one's out of the zone. See, there's that slider. A lot of people are going to try to get you with that. Way outside. Do not get fooled. And then he leaves one over the middle of the plate. We get a good pitch. When you work the count as well, when you get into a 2-1 count, when you get into a 3-1 count, 3-0, you're going to get great pitches to hit, because they have to start giving you strikes. It's going to be early on the count where they're going to give you bad pitches, because they want to get you behind in the count. They don't want to get you ahead of the count, because then they have to start giving you good pitches to hit. So we're following the ball really, really nicely. Don't think that one's going to get out. It was a little too early. We're going to take a couple more swings, but let me know in the comments down below. Are you guys playing the MLB The Show 22 tech test? Are you guys watching this for the first time when MLB The Show 22 comes out? And what do you guys think of the game so far? Are you excited for MLB The Show 22? Are you excited for real baseball season? Ton of videos like this one coming on the channel. Tips, Diamond Dynasty videos as Aaron Judge is going to hit a bomb. That was just early, but another good swing. PCI has been really, really good. Actually not going to get out. The timing was not great on that one, but the PCI was really, really nice. But this is going to be a super fun year for MLB The Show in total, and that one should be gone. That's a line drive, good timing on that circle change, hung it over the plate, and it is. This is going to be a really fun year. I can't wait for the actual game to drop. Like I said, so many videos coming on the channel. We're going to have rankings for Diamond Dynasty, gameplay videos, tips and tricks. We're going to have all the new promos that are coming out for MLB The Show Diamond Dynasty. I'll be covering it all. So if you guys are new, do me a favor, hit the like button, hit that subscribe button if you guys learned something in this video. But I think that's going to do it. I think I told you guys everything you need to know about hitting. Okay, everyone, that's going to do it for the video. Simple hitting tips, right to the point for you guys to get you guys started in MLB The Show. Again, these are all personal preference. Mess around with the settings and see which one you really like a lot. If you want to go with directional hitting, that's fine. If you want a different camera angle, that's cool too. But if you enjoyed the video, do me a favor, hit the like button, hit that subscribe button. I will be dropping pitching tips later today as well, because you guys want to master pinpoint pitching. Super important, so make sure to stay tuned for that one. Follow me at my social medias. I'll be live streaming the MLB The Show 22 tech test later this week on Twitch, so make sure to follow me. But that's gonna do it for the video, everyone. See you in the next one. Peace.